Man, I have been excited about watching things start. I've been excited about watching people get into things, people get into the start of their careers. I've been excited about watching people get started building a house or helping friends move as they move through their careers and through their lives. And the truth is that starting can sometimes be easy. Once you've made up your mind, once you have decided that that's what you're going to do, starting, yeah, we get there. We start to train, we sign up for the class, we approach that young man, that young woman to say hello. We get excited on day one. But finishing, that right there takes gumption. Finishing takes planning. Finishing takes what we call inner strength. Finishing is where your confidence is built. Your story is sealed and your health is transformed. And what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the hidden power of finishing strong and why the ability to cross the line may be the most important muscle you'll ever train. Hey, this is Dr. Dwain Woode. That's Wood with an E if you're new to me. The E stands for endocrinology. Here I educate, I empower, and I encourage you to take charge of your health and your life, avoid complications, go to the next level. We're creating the life we've always wanted, and we are living limitless lives. Hey. I'm so excited that you're here. Whatever platform you're joining us from, whether you are here on YouTube or on Facebook or Twitter or LinkedIn, or whether you are on Twitch or Instagram, welcome to the show. We are glad that you've come through. A special shout out to all of our community members, our accelerator members. Thank you guys for being here, and gals, and all of you who are watching us from around the world. We've got people watching us from different countries, and of course here in the United States. I give a special shout out to you. Go ahead and drop in the comments where you are watching us from, so that we can say hello to you. A special shout out to our folks from Atlanta Berean, those from Nashville, Riverside Chapel, and those from Louisville, Kentucky, those from the Magazine Street temple there in Louisville, Kentucky. Thank you for coming through, and thank you for hanging out with us. We've got some exciting things that are happening this week, exciting things on the show that we're going to take a look at. Of course, I've got my monitors that I've got off to the side. We'll take a look to see what's been going on with my blood sugar. And then, of course, right below me, that is my Dexcom Clarity Report, so we can see what's been happening with my blood sugar over the last little bit. And this week, we are concluding our Finishing Strong bridge. Remember, we did our Play Your Own game as we came out of our last series. Play Your Own game was what we had, and then the bridge now preparing us for what's coming in our next series, which will be Blueprints, and we'll start that next week. But this has been an amazing series that we've been on as we talk about what are those things that we need to do to finish strong, right? Finishing strong. And this week we launched the next iteration of our Move campaign, and in fact we're calling it Move. So let's go ahead, and this is the promo that we played. So let's go ahead and let's do that right now. Welcome to Move, metabolic optimization via exercise. This isn't just about workouts. It's about moving your body, moving your habits, and moving your life forward. Each episode builds consistency, strength, and resilience step by step. I'm Dr. Dwain Woode, and together we're writing the story of health, transformation, and limitless living. This is Move. Let's get started. All right, all right. So that is our Move campaign. That's a new series that we just launched. First episode actually dropped today. So if you've not done that yet, go ahead and get over to the channel and begin moving with us. And so as you listen to that series, part of our health action plan, right? So we've got two arms in there that actually fit right into the Move campaign. That is our walking and our strength training. And so those now will be housed under the Move acronym and Move brand. So go ahead and get over there as we continue moving out and continue walking through that series. I'm very excited about it. We are and I know someone said that was it Kenty? Was that you that said that we are 94 days in? And so as you go through that series, it's not now intended to be a 100-day series. It's intended to be the housing of all the movement that we're going to be doing as we continue in the Limitless Living Health Action Plan. All right. And then, of course, if you are joining us for the first time or coming back and getting over to the YouTube channel, you'll see that there have been some changes there. So just want to point that out to you. It has been simplified for you, so that now when you get there, it is much easier for you to see what's going on and for you to jump in and get started as you work on your health as well. So when you get there, you'll see there are two playlists that will show up. One is the Start Here playlist, which is if you're pointing somebody to the channel, if you're coming to the channel, if this is your first time, if you've been away and you're coming back, if you want to review what are the things that we talk about, what are the pillars, what are the different mileposts and the concepts that we're learning as we work on our health, that is where you go, to the Start Here playlist. It says there, reverse your diabetes and reclaim your health. I think I'm going to change that because I've had some people come and say, well, I'm not diabetic. And I want people to understand that you don't have to be diabetic to work on your health. And so we're probably going to change that name, but the Start Here will continue to be there. And then if you want to know what's going on this week, all right, this week's videos will show up in the This Week, the playlist that's entitled This Week's Videos. So make sure you get over there and walk through that. So, and we do a What's Happening This Week, a little video that kind of lays out the week. Of course, there is the first episode of our Move, of our Move episode 1, and then this show that you're watching right now will show up in the next one, and then as we go through the rest of the week, you'll see those there. Get over to our website as well, and from the website, DwainWoodeMD.com, you'll see there reclaim your rhythm, redefine your life. Welcome to Limitless Living, transforming health, mindset, and identity, one intentional step at a time. One intentional step at a time. Okay. And as you scroll down, there's a welcome video from me. Welcome you to the website. And then these are the videos, or this is a replication of what I just told you. On the right side, that will point you to those videos in the Start Here playlist. There's a PDF that you can download that guides you through those videos, helping you to understand what you should be getting from them. There are some exercises that you will do. And right down below, there is a button that says download your free PDF. You can do that there. And then if you are tired of jumping on and off this roller coaster of your health, things improving and getting worse and not moving and weight not going down, blood sugars getting higher, fatty liver developing, polycystic ovarian syndrome and metabolic syndrome, heart attacks and strokes, then you want to get over to our Accelerator program. Click on there and find out more and join our community. Okay? All right, so let's go ahead and let's take a look at some blood sugars. This right now is my Freestyle Libre. And this is what my blood sugar is right now, that 95 that you see there. And then down below, kind of like that almost 2/3 of the way down, that is what my blood sugar graph has looked like today. So let's go ahead and let's put my finger and kind of scroll through that. And you see there for early in the day, it was in the 90s. Right, and then dipped down right about 12 a.m. or 12 p.m. And then I went and I had lunch. And what did I have for lunch? I had a hamburger patty with some cheese, a slice of cheddar, and pepper jack, and a bag of nachos. And so this right here was probably the cheese, and that right there was probably the nachos. See, 141. Okay, and then back down to where we are right now. So you see there for most of today, early part of the day, and then this spike that you'll see here from about, let's see, when did that start? At 104, it started rising. 104. Here's 2, 3, and then back down to 98 by 5. Okay, so over that course of 3.5 to 4 hours, right there. Okay, and then if I look at the reports, and let's look at time and range. So so we're looking at this big number right in the middle, 76% in range, and then 24% lows. And so the lows that you're seeing there, that 24%, those usually happen when I'm fasting. So if you want to know what's going on during my fast, go ahead and take a look at that. But if you add those two numbers up, then you get 100%. So 100% of the time, I'm either low, which is during the fast, which I expect, and then 76% of the time, I'm in target. Looking at the 90-day now, 84% of the time I'm in target, and then 16% of the time I'm low. And once again, that's usually during fasting times. And then looking at average blood sugar for 14 days, here is my average. You'll see there on that line, 83 over the last, 7 days. Let's look at 14 days, so 85 is what the average is. And then down below, breaking out the average according to the different times of day. I love that because that gives me, some idea of what times of the day I need to be targeting. And for me, usually it's lunchtime and then supper. So normally I was doing 1 meal a day. We've kind of backed off of that just a little bit over the course of the last several weeks, and so that's why you see sometimes there'll be 2 humps in my day, and so you'll see numbers. For example, by because I usually eat lunch between 12 and 1, and you'll see there right at 12 noon, and you see this probably the 1, 2, 3, the 4th little graph there, or 5th little graph is 79, and that's usually when my blood sugar dips the lowest if I've not eaten that day. And so by the time I eat, then it comes back up to about 80s, 90s, and then of course today you saw it went up to about 140 some after those chips. And then right here, 87 is what my average is over 90 days, and then down below again, looking at those graphs, breaking it out into into times of the day, and you'll see right after noon, 1, 2, 3, 4, the 5th little bar there is the lowest at 84. And once again, that's usually when my blood sugar will dip during the day. Coming out of this and then taking a look at what's going on with my Dexcom, and so my blood sugar right now is 121 according to the Dexcom. And if I look at one over the last 24 hours and running my finger, and as you know, the Dexcom tends to be a little higher, well, much higher than the Libre. And let me do this. I'm going to do 12 hours because that's what we looked at before. So coming into the morning, 120s to 130s through the day once again, and then same thing. So starting there, right there about 109, we were 117, and so the Libre went up 40 points or so. So let's see what this is going to go up to. 117 up to 160. I think I saw did I see a 6? Yeah, 168. All right, and then actually popped up to about 193, 194, and then coming back down over the course of the rest of the afternoon. It's looking at this graph right here. Okay, and so that spike that you see right there, that's lunch. And a big part of that spike, and I don't have a bag of those. And this wasn't like the big bag, right? So this was even a small bag of nachos. So well, I don't have one here to show you what the size, but one of the personal sizes, by the way. And look at that spike. So we'll talk more about sugar in another as we get into our next series as the month begins. But we'll talk about sugar and how that affects our body and so forth. But those are conversations that we've had before that we will continue to talk about as we work on improving our health. Okay, so now let's go ahead and we're going to take a look at what my monitors are saying off to my side and looking at my Keto Mojo and my contour. So let's go ahead and pull that out. Let's see. So here is that's a strip for my ketones. Here is one for blood sugar. I need one for the contour, and then I need some lancets. There you go. Okay, and then let's get this one back here. All right, and let's get one of the strips out for the contour. Get that here. And what do you think my ketones are going to be? I anticipate what they're going to be. All right, let's get this one out. And so that's for the Keto Mojo. And let's go ahead and open this also for, this is the ketones for the Keto Mojo, because I want to get this one off to the side and just have it ready. Here is my lancet. And let's get a good, and ow, ow, ow. That, yeah, that one was hurts a little bit more than I thought. But that was a good, good brisk drop. So that worked. All right, and so let's get this back on the screen so you can see what's, so here's my Keto Mojo 104. Here is my Contour 99. Here is my Dexcom 121. And then let's go back to the Libre, which is 91. So you see that they are much different from each other. So 10 to 20 points, actually 30 points. If we go from the Libre to the Dexcom, that's about 30 points. Let's go ahead and get this one out and get the ketone strip in so you can see what's been going on. And then one thing that you guys may have noticed, or as you've been watching our shows over the last several days, was I did a show which was not, let's see, so low, right? So low is what I would expect my ketones to be, and let's pull that over before I say what I was going to say. Let's get that synced. There we go. Yeah, so I did a show at, I believe it was 9.5 hours after fasting. So we did our show on Friday, which was breaking the fast, and we don't normally do a show after that until Monday. But I thought this would be a good opportunity for us to look at what goes on from the time I finish my fast over 9 to 10 hours. And so we did that show, and that actually show aired at an off time. It actually showed at about 3 o'clock in the morning, but that's out there now, and you guys can get over there and take a look. All right, so here is, so this has been synced. So let's go ahead and pull that up. And so blood sugar right now, 104 according to the Keto Mojo, and my ketones are low. And look at the, see that normally there's a number there, and it couldn't calculate the number because the ketones are low. So if you divide anything by low or a really, really small number, then it's essentially infinity. It's high. Okay, and so normally we want that GKI in the middle to be low. We want the glucose to be low, and we want ketones to be high. Now, an interesting point to be made here is notice that my blood sugar is 104 according to the Keto Mojo. And 104 is in the range of what we normally tell people their blood sugar should be. I want you to process this with me. So 104 is in the range that we tell people. We tell them 100 to 120, okay? Normal blood sugar is between 70 and 99. So even a relatively good number that you see there, 104, means that my ketones are low, which means that my body is not burning calories. I want you to get that point, because a lot of people are under the misconception that just because their blood sugar is 104, 105, which are in the diabetes world are great numbers, and they are not losing weight. They're not getting the improvement that they thought. And the reason for that, the reason that the body's not burning calories and you're not losing weight is because even at a 104, there are no ketones. So the body's not burning calories, it's not burning fat, it's not generating or it's not needing to go get food, essentially, get extra energy. So if we're going to have if we're going to have beta oxidation, which is what's required for fat burning and ketones and so forth, if we're going to have that, then those numbers have to be much lower than 104. So I want you to that's an important point, because we don't make that point well enough. So that, I believe, confuses a lot of people when they're seeing good numbers and they're like, well, nothing in my health seems to be changing. And it's not changing because there is not the kind of the blood sugars are not where they need to be for ketones to come out, so that you can have beta oxidation and begin burning calories. Okay, so just remember that, and that's one of the huge benefits that we talk about when we talk about fasting. And we're not talking about that here now, but when we talk about fasting, that's one of the benefits, because it allows the body to get into the space of burning fat, because the blood sugars go lower. So very, very good point. And I'm glad that we had that opportunity to talk about that now, because normally we don't. We talk about other things. All right, so let's go ahead and let's look at what's going on with my blood sugars as it relates to my Dexcom Clarity. So let's go over there right now. So here's my Dexcom Clarity. Blood sugars of 123 over the last 14 days. I'm in target 99% of the time. My glucose management indicator, so if I were to get an AOC, would expect it would be about 6.2. If I look at the 90-day average, my average blood sugar over that period is, and it's coming, 117 over those 90 days. In target 98% of the time. And once again, target is 70 to 180. And my glucose management indicator is 6.1. Okay? All right. And then looking at the daily graph, let's get over there and see what's been going on. And so here we are starting today and going backwards. And so we're at 121 now, according to what this is saying. And then scrolling back, this is what we saw earlier, up to about 190. And that right there is a bag of nachos. And then this hump is what did I say I have? A hamburger patty with cheese right here. Right? And then nachos right in here. And then scrolling through the rest of the day, coming into that morning, we're in the low 120s, 110s. Okay? And then, of course, last night, and that's a meal right here. So 130s, 140s. Earlier in the day, in the 110s to 120s, and then right here, this was breakfast. Well, toothpaste breakfast-ish, right in there, toothpaste breakfast-ish, and then scrolling backwards into now going into Saturday, and 150s, 130s, 140s, and one of the things I'm going to do at some point, and we did this at one point, but it's not as easy to do, is try to get the Dexcom and the Libre reports so you can see what those numbers look like on both of those. Right now, we get a snapshot of the Libre, and then we get the Dexcom going forward. Okay? All right, so that is what's been going on with blood sugars. Let's go ahead and say hello to some of our community members. I see you guys out there. And let's see, we've got Kenty, what is going on? Kenty said, we ready for lunch? We ready to lunch. Hey, Kenty, thank you for coming through. What time is it, by the way, Kenty, right now? What time is it where you are? Kenty is in New Zealand, y'all. And 90 seconds. Okay. Kenty says, New Zealand here. 92 days left in the year for us down under, folks. That's right. You're a day ahead of us. Teresa says, hey, doctor and everyone. Hey, Teresa, what's going on? Kenty saying, hey, Teresa. And then Pam saying hi to everyone. Hey, Pam, thank you for coming through and hanging out with us as we continue our finishing strong. So let's go ahead and let's jump into our conversation as we talk about finishing strong and the importance of getting across that line. Let's go ahead and let's do that right now. So going through medical school, if you've heard any of my story, was actually a very traumatic experience for me. I was in computer science, math and computer science, and left that to go to medical school. And so got to medical school, and it was not an easy transition. And so medical school was challenging. And from medical school through finishing residency, there were lots of long nights, tired days, from the time I started medical school all the way to the day I drove away from Dayton, Ohio after my residency and then getting ready to start a fellowship. Okay? There were the exams that seemed impossible, the rotations that stretched me to my limits. Nights when I wondered if I had what it took. And yet, step by step, year by year, I made it through. And when I finally got in my car that last day and I drove away, it wasn't just relief. It was an identity that I had now solidified. I wasn't just a student anymore. I had finished medical school. I wasn't just a resident anymore. I had finished that training. And finishing changed everything. That's the hidden power of finishing. Starting medical school was exciting, but finishing residency was transforming. Finishing builds identity. It gives confidence. It says, I'm not just someone who starts, I'm someone who finishes. And that same principle applies to your health. And so what I want to do is I want to show you why finishing matters and how to build the structure that carries you across the line as you are moving down the path of being healthy. That's important. So I want to talk about why finishing matters. Why does finishing matter? Well, just like I want you to think about someone who's training for their first race. And they're at the starting now. They're at the starting line. They're there. They've done the work. And everyone is buzzing. The shoes are laced, music is pumping, cameras are flashing. But by mile 10, the hype is gone. By mile 20, right, only grit is left. And when that person crosses the finish line, something shifts in them. Not just because they ran the race, but because they finished the race. When you watch some of these marathons, you'll see people at the beginning and they take off, boom, gone. And then you'll watch as the race goes on. There are a couple people and they're just taking their right. They got this stride. one step after another, and they've got their stride. The starting was exciting, yeah, but finishing is transforming. Finishing builds identity. Finishing says, I'm the kind of person who completes. Finishing gives our inner coach the support, the evidence that says, this is my identity, this is who I am. Psychologists talk about this effect. Our brain hates open loops. And so when we finish, it brings a closure. And it brings a feeling of success. And that closure causes elevation. The closure fuels momentum. That's why when you step on the scale and you see that first number change, people want to go and get more. They want to do more because they get that hit. And when you finally reach a destination, when you finally are done, when you finally have completed, the burst of dopamine that you get from that is incredible. And it pushes you to better and more. So think about one thing in your health journey that you've started. Think about one thing in your life that you started and you finished it. How did that feel? And it could be something simple. I know when I'm traveling and I'm coming, or even, I was going to say when I'm coming back home, but it's not even coming back home, but wherever I'm going, when I get to the destination, there's this calm that comes over me. Just simply by getting there. I tell people often when I'm traveling, it's not sometimes even getting to the destination that's my thing. My thing is just making sure we got on the plane. I get excited because I've completed something. Isn't that crazy? But I've completed something. And that is incredible. Because the finishing isn't just about effort. Finishing is about structure. Finishing is about structure. And so when we finish, it really does matter. Buildings don't just get completed by accident. They follow a blueprint, a sequence, a plan. Finishing requires commitment. Finishing requires commitment markers. There are deadlines. It requires accountability. I was saying to my wife just the other day that there's this plan I have for something I'm doing, and her very first question to me was, "Who's going to hold you accountable?" Right? So basically, what's the plan? It's great to have it here, and you may be making progress, but who and what keeps you going? Part of our health action plan has, as part of it, structure and planning. What is the thing? What is the blueprint? What is the thing that's going to keep you where you need to be and help you along the way? It requires milestones. If we're going to finish, if we're going to get across the line, we can't just wait until we get to the line. When I'm traveling, I love to see those mile markers go, right? So I know what exit, like when we go from Nashville down to Huntsville, or from Huntsville to Birmingham, or even when we went down to the beach and we're traveling from here down to the Gulf. Yeah, I like to see those mile markers get ticked off. So I'm breaking it up into those small components. So if we're going to finish strong, if we're going to get across the line, we got to have some markers, we got to have some deadlines, we got to have some accountability, and what we're going to do is we're going to break that up into smaller pieces. We're talking about getting into blueprints coming up in our next season. If we're going to do that, we want to make sure that we are paying attention to all those activities that we have and just break them up so that each one is manageable. It requires guardrails, things that prevent us from drifting. Come on, come on. If we're training for a marathon, there is a plan that we've got to have. You can't just one day, well, I suppose you could just one day get up and say, okay, I'm going to run a marathon. But if you're going to be successful, if you're going to cross the finish line, you got to have a plan for how you're going to train. If we are doing our 100-day walk to consistency, what's the plan? What are the checkpoints? And when we did our series and even our strength training, we're like, okay, we're 20 days in, 25 days in. Okay, we're 50 days in. We're 75 days in. Okay, we're 100 days in now. People don't just end up in the right place if there's not a plan for how we get there. So, what guardrails do you have for your health? Are you using them? And this is just for you to process. Right? Remember the feeling that you got when you've completed something. So what guardrails do you now have in place that are going to help you in your next task? If that's a health task, what guardrails do you have? Do you have it on the calendar? Do you have an accountability partner? Do you know when you've drifted? How can you tell? What are the milestones that are taking you there? Yeah. So let's talk about what happens inside you. What happens inside you when you finish? Now that you've had the structure and we're finishing, what happens inside of you? What do you think? Finishing builds confidence. So confidence doesn't come from hype. Confidence doesn't come from, all the fanfare. It comes from history. I'm confident because my history tells me that I'm capable. Every finish is a receipt. Come on now. Every finish is a receipt you can cash in later. Those receipts are proof that I've done it. Proof that it is mine. And no one can take that away from me. Every time you finish, you collect proof. Every time you do it, you get a receipt. I did it once, I can do it again. Which is why, and one of the fascinating things to me is when I read stories about big companies, right? These huge companies, and they'll bring someone in to run the company. And sometimes I think to myself, well, that person knows absolutely nothing about that particular industry. Like, it's not that they were an engineer or they were, whatever the industry requires, but they didn't bring the person in because of their expertise in that area. They brought the person in because the person has the ability to run a company. Whatever the situation, maybe it's a financial person that they need to write the company. Maybe they need to downsize. Maybe they need to sell off. Whatever that person's expertise is, that's their expertise. And that comes from history. So when they show up, you could say, well, you don't know anything about this business. They're like, I don't have to know anything, but I know me. And I know what I've done. I have the ability to look at this and decide what needs to happen. Confidence builds on finishing what we started. And when you build that confidence, it's unshakable. Because it's not theory. Once it has been done, nobody can ever say to me again, you can't do 100-day walking. You can't do 100 days of strength training. Nobody can say to me, you can't do 72 hours of fasting. Why? Because it's done. It's in the history books. That's that. You know what that builds? It builds confidence and gives you grit. Because there are times when you're in the trenches and it seems like, hey, things are not going to work out. But you think to yourself, hey, I may not have done this thing, but I've been in situations that I've gotten out of. And so I'm not worried about this thing because guess what? I've done stuff before. And it allows you to persevere. Because if we're going to get across the finish line, it takes perseverance. Finishing is perseverance made visible. In those, going back to this marathon idea, when you see that person at the end right there, they are there because they persevered along the way. So started great, but was consistent in the middle, and they persevered. So how do we do that? Grit. So I want you to think about one thing that you finished in the past, big or small. And I want you to say that out loud. If I did it then, I can do it now. So whatever it was, you did something. You walked 100 days with us. You did the strength training with us. You have fasted with us. You've been working on balanced bites. You're getting to bed early on time or on time now. You've lost weight. Your A1C is down. Your blood pressure is down. Your cholesterol is down. Your fatty liver has improved. If I did it then, I can do it now. Because it's about what confidence I get because I finished stuff in the past. This is a great reason for doing the I Can journal. And you may hear me talk about that. The I Can journal is a way of recording the stuff. And people say, well, I haven't done anything big. This is not about big. It's not about big. It's about I can. I can walk 100 days. I can walk 10 days. I can lift 50 pounds. Whatever the I can, put it in an I can journal. Write it down so that you can go back, you can look at it. And I recommend, don't just wait until it's time, when you're down to go look at that journal. Just grab the journal and just flip through. And that in that journal, that I Can journal, that should be the only, if you got another journal, keep another journal for your journaling, and we'll talk about that later. But I want you to do an I Can, and the only thing that is in the I Can journal is the I Can stuff. You can explain stuff, you can write things in the comments, but I want those lines, I want pages and pages and pages, and you just continue to add. Put the date and I Can. The date and I Can. And just keep it on your nightstand, keep it in your backpack, keep it where it's easily accessible. And here's the kicker. That when you get confidence, finishing doesn't just change you. There is a ripple effect to finishing. Because it changes others. It changes your environment. When my family and friends talk to me, one of the questions I get is about my weight. In fact, I'll run into people from school and they'll say to me, and right now, a lot of people don't comment. They'll say to me, hey man, I saw your video. Man, I'm fasting. Man, I'm working on, and then whatever. I mean, things that we're talking about here on the show. So, and they knew me when I was 287 pounds. They knew me when I was 260 pounds, 250 pounds, 220 pounds, 210 pounds, 200 pounds. 190 pounds. So when there's transformation, when you finish, when you achieve something, it's not just you. When my son watches me, and we've not really talked much about it, he sees me. And he's asked me before, hey, are you going to go walking? That's why I enjoy getting out there when we work out, because he gets to see me do it, because it's not just affecting me, right? We are building into him now this idea of consistency, this idea of taking care of your health. So he sees what consistency looks like. He sees what finishing looks like. So your family, your friends, your coworkers, your community, your church folk, they're watching and they see. Finishing sends a ripple effect. It's one of the, and I don't know that it's well, let me just say it. So one of the ideas is that whatever I do here, like it's like in the ocean, if you drop a pebble, that pebble causes a ripple, okay? And theoretically, that ripple is actually felt for thousands of miles away. It may be small when it gets over there, but it's felt. In fact, if I blow, I've disturbed the air around me. And that air around me disturbs the air around it, which disturbs the air around it, which disturbs the air around it, and on and on and on and on. So right now in New Zealand, Kinty, I just sent you some air. Yes. So the ripple effect on your family, your coworkers, your community. And others may not cheer every step, but they notice when you cross the finish line. They're not running with you and count and say, yay, each step. But when you cross that finish line, they're like, man, tell me about that. Finishing creates a legacy. Other people believe they can finish because you did it, because you finished, because you changed, because you transformed. So the power of finishing is not just that it builds me, but it proves that it's possible. And because it's possible, it gives other people hope. One of the things that I say and that I've adopted from someone else is the very thing that you're going through right now that we sometimes try to hide, that we're ashamed of, that we don't want to share. It is the very thing that somebody else needs to see and needs to hear. So your story is the answer to somebody else's question. So who is watching you finish? Who around you, who in your community is seeing you? Who is being affected by the ripple effect that comes from your finishing? So let's bring this home. Because finishing strong isn't just a nice idea. It's the bridge to everything that comes next. When I think back to those years of training, the nights of studying, the rotations that tested every ounce of me, I don't remember every single page I read. I don't remember every single note I wrote. What I remember is crossing the line. What I remember is driving away from Dayton, knowing I had finished. That finish gave me confidence. that carried me into my fellowship. And when I finished my fellowship because I had confidence from the residency. And then I started to practice. And the confidence that came from the fellowship, that came from the residency, that came from the medical school, transitioned into the practice. And then I saw patients, and over and over and over. And then I, myself, began creating my own I Can journal, the history that I can. Your health journey works the same way. You won't remember every glass of water. You're not going to remember every walk. You're not going to remember every meal that you made. But you'll remember the moment that you crossed the line. When you've held the line long enough to see your body change. Come on. To see your energy grow. To see your confidence lift. To hear your doctor say, hey, I got to take some medication away because this is improved. To see that A1C go down. You're going to remember watching your daughter as you take her down the aisle. Or your son as he stands to get married. You'll remember when your children graduate from school because you were there. You'll remember what it's like to sit with your family, to travel with your family, to enjoy being in community with the family because you are healthy. Remember, health and long life. So here's the truth. Starting gets you there, gets you in the race, but finishing builds your future. And every small finish along the way is proof that you are not just a starter, but you are a finisher. And finishers write their own story. Finishers are living limitless lives. There is power. There is virtue. There is benefit of getting across that line. The power of finishing strong comes from the start. It comes from the middle when you're consistent. But the power of crossing the line is immeasurable. It builds confidence and it starts you on a path that will continue to take you well into the future of your health. All right. Wow. Yeah, am I going to say it? Yes, you know I'm going to say it. One of my favorite conversations. So starting gets the attention, right? But finishing gets the results. Finishing builds identity, builds confidence, resilience, legacy. One brick, one step, one day at a time. The power is in crossing that line. And so here's why this matters to us here tonight. Next week, we begin something new. Everything that we've practiced this month, consistency, ordinary days, resilience, guardrails, finishing, all of it connects next week. And next week, we start talking about the blueprint. This is the framework that takes what you've started and gives you a clear path as we are looking to finish strong in every domain of your health. So this week, don't just show up. Finish something. Finish strong. And remember, you are not just a starter. You are a finisher. A finisher, and finishers change their health. It changes their confidence. And finishers, when you finish, it changes your future. Oh, yeah. All right, let's see. We got some folks. Let me get back out here and say hello. Let's see. Where were we? We say to our community members. I think we stopped on Pam. Yeah. So Gian says, hi, doctor. Hi, LLG. What's up, Gian? Gian says, hi, Kenty. Hi, Teresa. Hi, Pam. Gian says, 9:30 a.m. on Tuesday here. Hi, Bowie. Bowie says hi to everybody. Gian says hi. Anthony, what's up, Anthony B? Thanks for coming through. Good evening, people. Kenty says hi, Gian. Hi, Anthony. Kenty is 1. So it's 1 p.m. where you are, Gian. Okay. And 1:59. Oh, so you guys are just about an hour apart from each other. Oh, no. So 1 p.m. No, I think you guys are. Well, let me see. I'm not going to say. So 1 p.m. Oh, okay. So Gian is checking with Kenty. Okay. I was like, wait a minute. So almost 2 there. Almost 10 a.m. here. Okay, yeah, that's what I thought. You guys were on almost opposite sides. All right, Kenzie said yes. Question 9.2 post-fast. So yeah, we commented about that. That was a show that I did about 9.5 hours after the fast, after we ended the fast last week. Okay. If you recall, we on Wednesday of last week, or Thursday of last week. So we went from Monday, the show, we went to Wednesday, and then we did the Friday. So that was one that I added in there, so that we can round out this week in review on Sunday. But it was one that we put there. So it's in this week in review, and then it aired about 3:00 in the morning on Sunday. 3:00 in the morning on Sunday. All right. So once again, I'm excited to announce that we started our new series. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna play that again. This is the intro. This is our move. Welcome to Move, metabolic optimization via exercise. This isn't just about workouts. It's about moving your body, moving your habits, and moving your life forward. Each episode builds consistency, strength, and resilience step by step. I'm Dr. Dwain Woode, and together we're writing the story of health, transformation, and limitless living. This is Move. Let's get started. All right. So very excited about that. So if you've not jumped in and joined us, go ahead and do that. So that series, wanted to launch it this week because next week we're going to be referring to that series and talking about that as we get into I should call it a series. That is our new Move platform. So we'll be referring to that as we get into the rest of our blueprint. So Anthony says that was diagnosed in 2024. Let's go ahead and let's pop that up because that was a good one. December 23rd on 2024, diagnosed as type 2 diabetic, no longer taking medication, says thanks doc. Amen. Congratulations. All right. So Gian says so 9.5 post fast live. No, so that was just a show that we did last week. So that's not planning to be a permanent feature. Gian says great job, Anthony. Kenty smiling. Wow, amazing. And Anthony B says thank you. And I am Gian from South Korea. Yes, Gian, thank you for coming through. Everyone, thank you for coming through and hanging out with us as we move through this week. So we will be back tomorrow. Of course, we begin our fast tomorrow afternoon. right about 1:30. We will do our check-in on Wednesday. Another pop-up live. So we'll do a pop-up live tomorrow, pop-up live Wednesday, about 1:30-ish. We'll do our show on Wednesday night. We'll do a pop-up on Thursday, show Thursday night, and then our complete review of fasting on Friday as we end the fast. And come on back. Come tomorrow, you get to see what I eat for my last meal as we get into the fast. Come back on Friday to see what I eat for my first meal as we come out of the fast. And of course, we've got video from the vault on Saturday night at 9 p.m. This Week in Review on Sunday morning at 6 a.m. And then we are right back here next Monday as we jump into our next series, Blueprints, as we talk about what we do and how do we go about making sure that we are putting in place the things that we need to do to be healthy. Hey. So the Triple E Formula for Success is our platform. It's how we teach. It's how I think. It's how I talk to people when we are dealing with our metabolism. We educate, we empower, and we encourage. We educate with the shows and the blogs and the podcasts that we do. We empower with the tools that we're learning, and we encourage with the community that you are part of. Remember, as you are getting benefit, as you are improving, as you are moving into limitless living, don't just keep that to yourself, but let other people around you know that this is possible and they don't have to continue going down the path of dysfunctional metabolism. We are just so excited for everything that's going on the channel, everything that's going on in your lives, and just like Anthony said, the benefits that you're seeing in your health and in your space. Hey, this is Dr. Dwain Woode. I'm so glad that you're here. I'm glad that I get to come alongside you and to see the improvements that are going on in your health. Join us once again for our Move series that just started. Come on tomorrow as we get into episode number 2 and as we move through the rest of the week. Thank you for being here. This is Dr. Dwain Woode. That's Wood with an E. The E stands for endocrinology. Here I educate, I empower, and I encourage you to take charge of your health and your life, avoid complications, go to the next level. We're creating the life we've always wanted, and we are living limitless lives. Now go live a limitless life, and we'll see you in the community and see you as you improve your health. Good night, everybody.